There will be no fairy tales here, only ghost hunts and true life stories of murder, greed, and insanity. There is plenty of murderous and insane stories all around the world. And for the record, we are bringing you today the most haunted places located in New York City. And if you ever visit New York and wish to explore them, we will advise you to rethink yourself. Number 13. Merchant's House Museum. This historic NoHo townhouse was once owned by the Treadwell family, and it appears that one member is still living there, Gertrude Treadwell, the last Treadwell to live in the house until her death in 1933, is thought to be keeping an eye on the house she grew up in. Strange sights, sounds, and smells have been reported since becoming one of the more obscure museums 3 years later. However, the staff appears unfazed, as ghost tours are frequently offered here. Number 12. The Ear Inn. This Soho landmark pub, one of the city's oldest drinking establishments, is said to have a long-term patron who likes to make his presence known. Back in the day, sailors and longshoresmen would flock here for a drink. One of them hasn't left yet. Mickey, a cheeky ghost, is said to have a tragic ending. He was a sailor who was killed by a car in front of the bar, but he mostly makes himself known by flirting with the ladies at the bar. Number 11. Dr. Best House and Medical Exhibit, Middleburg. The well-preserved doctor's home and office provide curious onlookers with a snapshot of life in the late 1800s. While that's cool and all, the collection of crude mid-1600s medical instruments will send shivers down your spine. Not only that, but Dr. Best and his wife and son all died inside the house. Paranormal investigations have found soaring EVP levels, along with the faint sounds of the Best family and a tinkling piano. Number 10. Utica State Hospital. This was the state of New York's first state-run hospital. Though it opened in 1843, the hospital for mentally ill patients was ahead of its time when compared to other institutions in the state, or possibly anywhere else. Though it appeared that its patients would be well cared for, what occurred behind closed doors was something no one could have known unless they had been inside. Patients were frequently subjected to electroshock treatments and lobotomies. The rooms were small and cramped, and the conditions were anything but sanitary. One of the hospital's facilitators created a cage to punish misbehaving residents, or to calm down any patients who may have acted out. This was dubbed the Utica Crib. Many people who have lived near the hospital or have just passed through have reported seeing faces in the windows and hearing screaming coming from the building. Despite the fact that the general public is not permitted to enter the building on their own, the local government will occasionally host tours of the Utica State Hospital for anyone interested in paranormal activity. Number 9. Iron Islands Museum. If you're looking for a place where paranormal activity might just be guaranteed to happen, look no further than Buffalo's Iron Island Museum. At one point, this served as both a funeral parlor and a church. Rumor has it, the ashes of a military vet named Edgar Zernick has gone unclaimed for years. It was for this reason that this specter might be hanging around the museum. Also, you might want to be on the lookout for any sightings and sounds that may sound remotely like paranormal activity. After all, this was once a funeral parlor. If you're among the crazy brave, you'd be crazy not to check this place out. Number 8. Rolling Hills Asylums. Given that there were a few asylums throughout the state of New York, one of them appears to outnumber the other in terms of paranormal activity stories. During its operation, over 17,000 people were buried, the vast majority of whom were in unmarked graves. Because they didn't have a place to live, vagrants would work in the fields at the farmhouse. Following that, the house was transformed into a hospital both for medical purposes and as a sanatorium for tuberculosis patients, among other things. It was then used as a psych ward, where an inmate named Roy died. He is said to have taken the form of a spirit, which has long been described as a 7-foot shadow man who haunts visitors. Number 7. Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Ah yes, Sleepy Hollow. You've probably heard of the famous Washington Irving story Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman, and you've most likely seen the various film or television adaptations of that story. Believe it or not, Irving is among those who have chosen this cemetery as their final resting place. However, the stories of those buried here are frequently more horrific than the legend of the Headless Horseman. Murders, suicides, and a few scandals are among the stories that will have you spooked by the time you finish the local tours they offer. Number 6. BRAE Mansion, GLEN, SPEY. Once part of a large estate for the president of Singer Sewing Company, this Victorian bed and breakfast has frightened more than a few greenhorns. Private ghost hunters and guests alike have sworn to seeing a woman pacing the halls and to hearing unexplained noises, footsteps, and music from an unseen piano. Can't bear the thought of an overnight stay? The mansion's fall BYOB murder mystery dinners serve suspense without as many spooks. Number 5. BELHURST Castle and Winery, Geneva. Visits to this wine-obsessed hotel in the Finger Lakes may include more than one type of spirit. Patrons have claimed to see a forlorn woman in white standing silently on the front lawn of the late 1800s Romanesque revival structure, which has served as a casino, supper club, and Prohibition-era speakeasy over the years. According to legend, she was an Italian opera singer named Isabella who went to the castle with her lover, only to die when one of the castle's tunnels collapsed on top of her. Number 4. Rolling Hills Asylum, East Bethany. Consider your prayers answered if you ever wanted to explore an abandoned asylum with only a flashlight and an EVP meter. These rooms are filled with hospital beds, ratty dolls, and old medical equipment, all of which add to the eerie atmosphere. Visit the second floor of the East Wing to see if the Shadow People hallway lives up to its ominous name. Fun fact, their former poorhouse was a fitting location for American Horror Story Asylum. Number 3. Buffalo Central Terminal, Buffalo. The Buffalo Central Terminal is another attraction close to the Iron Island Museum. This train station had been closed for more than 40 years. However, even today, some of the people coming and going from the terminal are among the dead. Some people have reported seeing the movements of various shadowy figures and even feeling watched by an unknown figure. Rose, a female spirit, is said to be one of those spirits. The Central Terminal is in disrepair and appears to be in need of repair. But in the place known for ghostly activity, this only adds to the dread. This Art Deco structure was a bustling transportation hub for over half a century. Despite the fact that the last train left in 1979, reports of moving apparitions and the feelings of being watched indicate that the BCT is still very much alive. Ghostbusters recommend starting at the baggage claim area. Look out for a woman named Rose, where the station's overall state of abandoned disrepair only adds to the eerie atmosphere. Number 2. The Amityville Horror House, Amityville. If you think of a haunted house, the Amityville Horror House is probably the first that comes to mind. The house, located in the town of Amityville on Long Island's South Shore, was the scene of a heinous murder. Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered 6 members of his family in 1974. He was later convicted and is now serving a life sentence in prison. A year after the murders, a new family moved into the house, only to leave in less than a month after experiencing what appeared to be copious amounts of paranormal activity, including visions, bad odors, and very strange, creepy feelings. Though it is a private residence, the current owners would probably appreciate it if you did not take pictures or simply walk up to the front door. Whether you believe the book or the horror film franchise it inspired, there's no doubt that some terrifying real-life events occurred in this otherwise charming-looking Dutch colonial-style abode at 112 Ocean Avenue. A young man murdered his parents and 4 siblings in their home in the early 1970s. When another family bought the house after the murders, they reported strange smells and feelings, as well as unexplainable foreboding visions. The family left after only 28 days. It is still a private residence, so don't be the person who takes a selfie in front of it. Serious, simply do not. Number 1. Palmyra Historical Museum, Palmyra. 6 children and a young mother were killed in a fire at this former 3-family home in 1964. Over the years, museum visitors have reported a variety of strange occurrences, including an ash-like odor in the basement, toys flying off the shelves, the sensation of having one's clothes or hair tugged, and even a phantom feline. Palmyra, located east of Rochester, was the site of a tragic house fire in 1964 that killed 6 children and their mother. The house has since been turned into a museum. However, visitors have been visibly frightened by various paranormal activities they have witnessed. These included sensations of being pulled or tugged, being gently pawed by a phantom cat, and the smell of ash emanating from the fireplace. So guys, that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Also, do let us know in the comments which of the stories you found the spookiest. Don't forget to hit the like button and press the bell icon after subscribing to stay tuned with more amazing content like this.